guys! Check me out 2 days in a row with a video. What do you think? I do this, like I get into a slump and then I come back and I'm like, I want to keep going. The thing is, while I'm on the slump, I think of all these like cases I want to talk to you guys about, and like they stack up, and then when I finally start recording again, I'm like, let me get these all out. Now this one actually sort of snuck up on me because I have always like known about it, but I never really dove that deep into it. Now let me go back to all like way, way on the way back machine to my senior year in high school. So I was, of course, like most people, completely in love with Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, right? Now, this video is not going to be about Kurt Cobain because I know a lot of people think that Courtney killed him, but personally, I'm on the fence. I'm not 100% sure either way, and I really don't want to do like a... Well, see, this one's going to be sort of like a I hate Courtney video, but not really, because I don't hate Courtney. I actually probably am one of not all that many completely big fans of the band Hole. Like, I freaking loved them. I think mostly because like half of the album's like written by Kurt Cobain. And I don't think everybody really knows that. Like, it was Courtney's band and whatnot, and she's the one who did the album, but a lot of the songs are written by Kurt Cobain, which is why they're so brilliant and so good, and I love them so much. Like that, the Live Through This album from beginning to end is freaking, it's a good album. Now, February 15th, 1995, I saw Hole in New York City at the Beacon Theater. I went with my cousin Jennifer, and I even drove us, drove to New York City, which was like terrifying, because I spent a lot of time in New York as a kid, but I never drove. I was deathly afraid to drive in the city, because it's, kind of like, it's terrifying. If you don't live there, you don't want to drive there, trust me. And I think the whole concert was probably, the whole concert, and one time I drove through New York City to go to LaGuardia Airport were the only two times I ever drove in New York. Now, this concert was freaking awesome, and like, I was having so much fun, but I fainted. And I've only fainted a few times in my life, and like, of course, didn't really understand why out of nowhere I fainted. But then, when I got home, like a couple of days later, I found out that my Farrah was in here. Yes. I was like a month pregnant. I think a month. Like, she was born in October, and that was February. So yeah, like about a month pregnant. And that's why I fainted. But anyway, I loved Hole. Loved them. And, like, when Kurt Cobain died, it was like so devastating to me. And so devastating to so many people that, like, 6 weeks later, one of the girls that was in Hole, like, not Courtney Love, was this girl named Kristen Pfaff. Kristen was a very talented musician and very cute little chick, okay? Now, the reason that she's going to be the topic of this video, because I personally don't believe that she overdosed. She was found dead in June of 1994, another member of the infamous 27 Club. Now, she was born, her parents' names are Janet Pfaff and Mike Parko, and she was born in Buffalo, New York. Her birth father comes from a family of several highly successful musicians, so that kind of makes sense as to like why she was so very talented. Excuse me, I'm drinking coffee. It's making me like overheat a little bit. And hey, Stevie Nicks. So yeah, her parents were divorced when she was a child, and her mother remarried Norman Pfaff, who adopted Kristen, and that's why her last name was Pfaff. She had one younger brother named Jason, and he was also a musician. In Kristen's early life, she studied piano and cello. She graduated from Catholic school, Buffalo Academy of the Sacred Heart, in 1985, and spent a short time in Europe and attended Boston College before finally finishing at the University of Minnesota, majoring in women's studies. So she also worked as a counselor for rape victims, and she was part of Restore of the Sexual Violence Program, which offered a crisis line, counseling services, and training in self-defense programs. Pfaff also took part in the annual 24-hour rape-free zone in 1990 and was quoted as saying the goal was to draw attention to violence brought against women on campus and in the world. During this time, she participated in the college radio station Radio K, and she can be heard doing this in a short clip available on SoundCloud, which is kind of cool. She was in a band called Janitor Joe prior to being in Hole. She was living in Minneapolis, and after her graduation, she taught herself how to play bass. She was a guitarist and a vocalist, and herself and a man named Joachim Brewer, who was in a band called The Bastards previously, and drummer Matt, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Entsminger, 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 I believe is how you would say it. And they formed a band called Janitor Joe in 1991. The first single on their, the first single put out by Janitor Joe was Hmong, Hmong, another thing I can't pronounce. And it was released in 1992. Maybe that's just Mong. Maybe the H is silent. And so later on that year, they released a single called Bullethead, and then they did the Boyfriend 7-inch and Janitor Joe's debut album called Big Metal Birds. One Janitor Joe track called Under the Knife can also be found on an OXO Records 4-track EP released in 1993. Janitor Joe was becoming a staple of Minneapolis sound, influenced by the Pacific Northwest's early grunge sound and the sharper, faster DC post-hardcore scene, as well as the stop-start distortion of Butthole Surfers, Big Black, and others on the Touch and Go label. Pfaff's playing style was central to Janitor Joe's relentless assault, both live and on record. She and Brewer both contributed songs to Big Metal Birds. Then it, quote, both operate within easy reach of the line separating punishment and reward. Pfaff's contributions, The Surly Boys in Blue, tend to be slightly more spacious, while Brewer's One Eye, for instance, stipulates that the drummer, Matt, I can't pronounce his last name, maintains perpetual motion. That was written by David Sprague of Trouser Press. Willow, come here. What are you doing? She's climbing, and climbing is never a good thing. She's going to knock shit over. Come here. Then there's my router. Get your butt down here before you knock the router. Come here. Come and see your fans. Come see your fans. Say hello, fans. Come here. Hi. Say hi, fans. No, don't give them your butt. I'm sorry, guys. Come here. Come say hello to your fans. Say hello, fans. Hello, fans. Yesterday when I was doing my video, I didn't realize how freaking adorable she looked behind me until I was doing the editing, and then I was like, oh, look at her. Oh my god. Now it's like, rub my belly, rub my belly. Oh, and I want to play, I want to attack you. Okay, you'll be nice, Mommy gotta do a video, okay? You'll be nice. Alright, so the growing Minneapolis scene was beginning to attract music press attention in 1993. Amphetamine Reptile released a tour single called Stinker, and Janitor Joe began to tour nationally. It was on one such tour in California that year that Pfaff was scouted by Eric Erlandson and Courtney Love of Hole. They were, at the time, looking for a new bassist, and Love invited Pfaff to play with Hole. Pfaff declined and returned to Minneapolis, but Erlandson and Love continued to pursue her. Now, a little bit about Eric Erlandson. He was the only male in Hole, and he eventually dated Drew Barrymore. So a lot of the reason that you see Courtney Love in certain movies and TV shows is because she was sort of like given a shot by Drew Barrymore. Given a shot. That's funny considering all the shots Courtney's taken. Of heroin. Not funny, but like the early days, like the interviews and even live performances, you can see how blasted out of her fucking brain she is. She did a lot of heroin. It surprises me that she's still here. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am like really glad for her. Like, it could have been really bad if poor Frances Bean lost both of her parents. You know, like that would be like miserable. And I don't have any. Have you guys like seen recently how beautiful Frances Bean is? Holy crap, she grew up so pretty. She looks like Courtney, but her face is shaped like Kurt's, and she has Kurt's eyes. Like 100%, those are Kurt's blue eyes. And oh my god, the girl is so beautiful, especially her eyes. I'm like super jelly. Like, wow. Now she has the zoomies. Zoom, zoom. What are you doing, Zoomer? What are you doing? You got zoomies? Do ya? Yeah? You got the zoom zooms? Zoomies. I like when she stands up when you pet her. That's so freaking cute. She was doing that to my daughter, like so soon after, like the first time she met her. It was so funny. Right? Right? Oh, stand up, stand up. I love this cat, you guys. I'm sorry. Like, literally every one of my videos I have to stop to play with her. I mean, because how could I not? Look at this little baby. Look at that little baby. She's so darn cute. So stinking cute. I love her. Yeah. Oh, the babies. Oh, the babies. Yeah. If I can get her to cooperate before I end this video, I want to show you her collar. Actually, my boyfriend bought it for her a couple years ago, and it was like, it has all of the letters in her name, you know, and they're like in rhinestones, and then it has a little heart, and they had like, you can slip the letters onto the collar, but over time the collar itself like got really ratty and started to look like absolute crap, so I took the letters off of it. And you can't slip them onto another collar because every collar has like the ends, like you can't put anything through, like you can't put the ends through anything, is what I'm saying. So I had to take the old letters, put them on a ribbon, and then sew the ribbon onto the collar. And because she's so fluffy this time of year, you know, like the winter coat comes in, you can't even see it under all the fur. Right? You're too fluffy for your own good. She found a toothpick. Now she's all excited. What you got? What is this? What you got? Oh, get it. Go get it. Fetch the Q-tip. I mean, toothpick. It's so cute, you guys. Anyway. I shouldn't be laughing. Like, this is, like, serious stuff here. Well, it hasn't gotten real serious yet. But, oh my gosh, she just is so cute. Alright, so originally, Pfaff was, like, reluctant. She didn't want to leave Minneapolis to join Hole. But she reconsidered after advice from her father, Norman. He said from a professional point of view, there was no decision. He later told Seattle Weekly, because they were already on Geffen Records and already had this huge following in England. And if you're wanting to move up the ladder, that's the way to go. Although Kristen's mother, Janet, was more reluctant for her daughter to leave Minneapolis, and Janitor Joe for, you know, in favor of Seattle and Hole. Following international critical acclaim for their first independent album, Pretty on the Inside, Hole had generated a great deal of major label interest, eventually signing on an 8-album deal with Geffen for a reported $3 million. That's pretty much, that's a lot of money for, like, you know, 1991, and also for, like, a band like Hole. You know, like, they were just starting out, and you know, I really believe that if it wasn't for Kurt Cobain, they wouldn't have been as popular as they were. Because, like I said, he wrote a lot of their music. And, I guess for the most part, because he loved Courtney, he wanted to give her some good shit to do. You know what I mean? And, like, yeah, they're just very, very good songs. That whole album, Live Through This, is just mind-blowing. So in 1993, Pfaff moved to Seattle to work with the other members of Hole on Live Through This, the major label follow-up to Pretty on the Inside. The band's new lineup, which was Love, Erlandson, Pfaff, and a girl named Patty Schmel, she was on the drums. They got into the studio early in 1993 to begin rehearsals, and then they just took off. Eric Erlandson said, all of a sudden we became a real band. So later on, like, her time in Seattle was a really rich period, and she formed a really close friendship with both Eric Erlandson and Kurt Cobain. While working on Live Through This, Pfaff and Erlandson dated, and they were together for most of 93, remaining close even after splitting up. It was not all great because living in Washington's heroin capital, Pfaff developed a problem with drugs, and everyone was doing it. Everyone. All our friends were junkies. It was ridiculous. Everybody in this town did dope, Courtney Love said, of this period in the Seattle music scene. By most accounts, Pfaff's own drug use was relatively moderate. Kristen dabbled in drugs before she was in our band in Minneapolis, but it was very light. That's, Eric said this to Spin magazine. Then he said she moved to Seattle and felt disconnected from everything, and she made friends, drug connections, which I told her not to do. The only way you can survive in this town is if you don't make those connections. Eric said this. However, it's been sort of rumored that Eric was an actual dealer himself, so shut the fuck up. I have issues with the way the rest of this story goes, so I sort of don't really like him so much. I mean, maybe he became a better person when he started dating Drew Barrymore, because I can't imagine that she would be with somebody who is such a freaking junkie, like a straight up, strung out, dirty looking junkie. Like, he wasn't even that attractive, in my opinion. Like, I actually don't find him attractive, like, at all, but that's really just my opinion. I don't think he's, like, ugly. It's just, he's not my type. I mean, back then, maybe he would have been, because I loved Kurt Cobain, and he was kind of the same. Like, now I need a manly man, like, big arms, big chest, strong, you know, like, the kind of guy that when he hugs you, you just feel so comfortable and so safe and so protected, because he's just like a wall around you, kind of, you know what I mean? But back then, I thought, like, the skinny, grungy dudes were hot, like Kurt Cobain and, Shannon Hoon. Oh, Shannon Hoon. Oh, God, he was so cute. What a sad, sad story that is. I'll get into that one another time, because I'd like to talk about him also on my channel. Another one way too soon who died. But yeah, like, I kind of liked that look. I liked, Gavin Rossdale and, I think from the grunge scene, those were the ones typically that I really liked. I loved Kurt. I just loved him so freaking much. His eyes, man. Oh, the story was so tragic with him. Like, I really, 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 really wish that he didn't do what he did, if he even did it. So I seriously, I'm like 70-30, like 70% sure that he actually did, you know, shoot himself. But then there's like this little part of me that isn't 100% sure, because there's reasons that not everybody knows. Like, you'd have to watch Soaked in Bleach, or like the documentaries that they've done where, like, stuff has come out that makes it look like maybe he didn't kill himself. So, I mean, that's not really what... The reason why I'm talking about that is because the Kristen story and the Kurt story, to me, are very closely related. Because, like, when Kurt died, he was found, as most of you guys know, above the garage, like, in the house that he was living in with Courtney. I mean, it was a detached garage, and it had, like, an upstairs, and he was upstairs, and, like, there was, like, a suicide note. It was in a planter with a pen stuck through it. And Courtney read that to like morning fans at one point, and that was the first time we actually heard what was in the note. And like since it's been actually released, like you can go read it anytime, like online. But the weird thing about it is now Kurt was generally a very like gloomy person. So it could have been written by him at any time. Like most of it. Like the very bottom of it is where it says like something to the effect of, you know, Courtney, go on without me, and my daughter Frances, like I know that your life will be so much better without me, and like stuff to that effect. But the like that part of the note and the rest of the note like are different, because the beginning parts of it, the main part of it is written like in smaller type, like text, like the person was writing smaller. Now on the bottom it's like these big sloppy-ish letters. Only the part about, you know, Courtney, go on, and Frances, you're better off without me, and it's better to burn out than fade away, something to that effect. And then there was a housekeeper or somebody found in a book bag that Courtney had, where it was like an obvious what do they call that? Handwriting practice? Yeah, like a practice sheet. Where it really did look like somebody had been trying to copy Kurt's handwriting. And that was in Courtney's possession. Why would you have that? You know what I mean? Like, why? And when Kurt was missing, because he was missing for 6 days before they found him there, and I think Courtney knew where he was because she, like, coincidentally hired this electrician to do some wiring over the garage, and that's the dude that found him. I almost feel like she was getting frustrated with how long it was taking for somebody besides her to find him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like, I still... And there was a guy who... Like, he's dead now. I don't know if he killed himself or... I don't know if it was natural causes or so. I want to say I think it was an accident. But there was a guy that said Courtney paid him to kill Kurt. So he was not very credible, though. Kind of a loser. And then there was like somebody living in their house with Kurt. And people say maybe he had something to do with it. It's just all really strange. And they're not going to reopen the case because people have tried to get Seattle to reopen the case, and they just don't. And they really do stand by the suicide theory, which, like I said, I am like 70% sure that they're right. But there is that nagging part of me that just, you know, because it's rumored that Kurt wanted to divorce Courtney, and if Kurt had divorced Courtney, they had a prenup. She would have walked away with, you know, pretty much nothing. And I don't think she was ready to handle that. I don't. You know, if he ended up dead, no, the prenup's not a problem. She gets all the money. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't want to think that way of her, because I really do like Hole. Honestly, like, I like the music, and... Ooh, sorry, guys. My nose ring. And then, like, she's also... I've seen her in a few things, like that Larry Flint movie, and she also guest starred on Sons of Anarchy, which I love that show. And she was really good. Like, anything I've seen her acting in, she has not been a bad actress. She's actually very talented. And not so much with the singing, but the music is... I mean, the acting is very good. And, yeah, like, with Hole, the music's good. And her voice is... You know what I mean? It's not the best, but it definitely... got the job done on that album. That album is so good, you guys. Like, seriously, if you've never heard it, check it out. Like, just go on YouTube and watch, or, you know, play one of their, how they have people that download whole albums. Live Through This by Hole. Very good album. Alright, so, let's see, where was I? Yeah, the thing about making drug connections. The only way you can survive in this town is if you don't make those connections. After the critical acclaim of Live Through This, Pfaff decided to move back to Minnesota, partly because of the drugs and partly because of creative differences within Hull. And I think it was really, there was some tension between her and Courtney. There always was, and it kept on getting worse. So, Pfaff went to Minneapolis to a detox for heroin addiction in February of 94. She left Hull later that spring to tour with Janitor Joe. She went on tour, and when she came back from that, she was clean. And this is Erlandson again, Eric talking. In the wake of Cobain's death in 1994, April, Pfaff decided straight up to leave Hull and Minneapolis permanently. I sort of think maybe she also believed Courtney had something to do with it, but I don't know. I'm completely guessing, speculating. I don't know what she thought. But yeah, so she went to finish the tour with Janitor Joe, but she did make plans to go back to Seattle to retrieve the rest of her belongings, and she went out there on June 14th, 1994. So, mind you, Kurt died in April, and in June, just a little while later, a month and a half, she was in Seattle to retrieve her belongings. So, around June 16th, 1994, at 9:30 in the morning, Kristen was found dead in her Seattle apartment by Paul Erickson. He was a friend that she had, that she was going to leave to go back to Minnesota with. She was 27, and on the floor was a bag with syringes, paraphernalia, and her death was attributed to acute opiate intoxication. She died 2 months after Kurt, who was and she was a close friend with him, as well as Courtney's husband. So Kristen's father, Norman, described her as bright, personable, wonderful, very, very talented, smart, and she always seemed to be in control of her circumstances. And then the night that she died, she was not. In the book Love and Death, which was released in April 2004, Kristen Pfaff's mother, Janet, states that she's never accepted the official story regarding her daughter's death. Janet was interviewed by authors Wallace and Halperin in August of 2003. They're the ones that wrote Love and Death. Love meaning Courtney. Eric Erlandson, the last person to see Pfaff alive before she overdosed on heroin, later said, "I admit I made some stupid mistakes with some people, and the people are dead because of my stupid mistakes. That's what I want to say. And I want to use that so other people don't make the same mistakes that I made, and other people start understanding. I get emotional about this. We've all lost people." So, there's also some weird stuff that happened after they found her. Apparently a full autopsy wasn't even done because of the fact that there was paraphernalia there. They just kind of assumed. Kristen's U-Haul to go home to Minnesota was completely packed and sitting out front of the apartment. Literally, she had to sleep, get up, and they were leaving. So, why? Why would you pack up everything to go home, be all ready to go, and then shoot up enough dope to kill you? Why? Why? Now, it says in there that Eric was the last person to see her, and, a few years after Kristen died, there was some sort of, I don't know if it was an interview or just like people hanging out with a video camera, but there's a point, there's a point where Courtney Love says, no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, I apologize. It was actually in a magazine interview article. I don't remember, I think it was Rolling Stone, but I'm not 100% sure. She said to the reporter that when Kristen died, she had to pull Eric away from her dead body. Pull Eric away from her dead body. Like, that, Courtney stuck her foot so far in her mouth, she may have choked on her toes. Alright? Because, what the fuck? Eric and Courtney shouldn't even have been anywhere near Kristen's body because her friend Paul is the one who found her. So, in watching shows like Wentworth and Orange is the New Black, they quite frequently use the term hotshot, like when somebody kills somebody else using a shot of heroin, like a big giant shot that's big enough to kill them. I kind of think, with Kristen, I am 70-30 that it wasn't suicide. It wasn't an accidental overdose. Somebody killed her. I really, really believe it. Especially because there wasn't even an autopsy. And also, one of the people that worked in the medical examiner's office was friends with Courtney Love. I'm sorry, what? You know what I mean? She had people in the police department, in the morgue. She had connections, all over Seattle. Courtney Love is so shady. And there's a big part of me that thinks that she's got some karma coming to her. I don't know for sure. Nobody does. But I really wanted to talk about Kristen because her death gets completely forgotten about because of Kurt. There's also rumors that Kurt had bought 2 round-trip airline tickets to go to Atlanta, and the person other than himself that was supposed to go was a female that was not Courtney. Hey, why are you being bad? Sorry, she's misbehaving. What are you doing? Thank you. So, I think that Courtney was extremely jealous of the friendship that Kristen and Kurt had. And it's just a very weird coincidence that Kurt was talking about leaving Courtney and he ended up dead. And then Kristen was talking about leaving Courtney and she ended up dead. You see what I'm saying? Are these really coincidences? I believe in one coincidence or two, but not this many. It just does not make sense. I can't accept it. I can't accept that she would pack up all her things, have a U-Haul ready to go, and then shoot up so much drugs that she died. It doesn't make any sense. Especially also because she was clean. She'd been to rehab and detox. She did it all. She was just going back to get her stuff. That kind of reminds me of poor Kaylee from the Idaho case. Just went back there to show her friends her new car, and she ended up dead. Oh, it's so sad, you guys. So sad. But, seriously though, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Kristen was murdered? I want to know. So if you can maybe drop those answers in my comment section. Yeah, and I guess, once again, I will, of course, supply the PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. I really, at this point, if you guys could do anything, I'd love it, because I'm a long way from monetization, and, a few of my videos have gotten pretty good, large amount of views. My largest is just above 4,000 views, and that's huge to me. I'm just this tiny little YouTuber. I don't, you know what I mean? If I get 100 views, I'm happy. But 4,000? I was like, wow! Ironically, that's not even about crime. But, yeah, so, if you can let me know what you think about Kristen and about Kurt. Do you think it's all connected? Do you think Courtney is a homicidal maniac? Do you think she hires people to get rid of people that she don't like or that she has some kind of beef with? One more thing that I heard is that Kurt gave Kristen a book. I don't know what kind of book, but I guess he was, he liked to read, novels and stuff. And I guess Kristen did too. And there must have been a book that he enjoyed reading that he gave to her, kind of as a gift. And that's a really personal thing. You know what I mean? It's not like jewelry or something, it's from the heart, it's something that you enjoy and you want to share with somebody. And I think that made Courtney pissed, because I don't really see Courtney sitting down reading a book. Maybe, don't get me wrong, maybe she loves to read, but I think that pissed her off a lot. And it just sucks, 27 years old, so much life ahead of her, and just all gone. And who knows? I mean, even if it was an overdose, it still sucks. And I really hope that, whatever happened to her soul, that she's at peace, if she was murdered, I don't think there will ever be peace, which sucks, because, again, not cool. But yeah, so that's pretty much the story. And of course I will put up some photos and stuff here so you guys can see who I'm talking about and everything, as we go. And, yeah, that's about it for this video. I have a few others that I'm thinking about, and possibly 50% sure I'm going to have a guest star on Thursday. I hope. We'll see how it goes. I'm trying to convince my boyfriend to do a video with me. I don't know if he will, but yeah, I threw a couple names at him to see if any of those wanted to, if he wanted to discuss any of those crimes with me here. But yeah, I thought that would be cool if we had more than one of me, more than one person, in my video, one of my videos. But yeah, so that's about it. I love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.